Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is a bit of a spontaneous video and I've decided to film this after my rehaul, and I've popped on my Insta stories. If you're not following me on Instagram, it is at Lydia E Millen and you can come follow me there. I do a lot of posting over there. I thought that I would give you guys the opportunity to ask me questions that maybe I haven't answered before. And the questions that I've picked out of all of them were the ones that I kind of felt were either the most asked or the most interesting. I can generally get a feel for what is a recurring theme in the comments, but also from my other videos. So I've picked those out. I won't be naming who is asking the questions, but I will pop the actual screen grab of the question on screen so that you can see that it was actually asked. But yeah, I just thought that this might be interesting and it might be an opportunity for you guys to get to know me a little bit better, because I am aware that sometimes there are things that maybe you don't understand or things that you just want a little bit more information on, and it's difficult because you obviously want to keep some things private, and obviously for other people in your life maybe they don't want you to talk about those things as well. So yeah, it can be quite difficult, and most of the time I'm just not telling you things out of respect for other people. However, I've looked at these questions and I think that I'm able to answer them without upsetting anyone, which is great, hopefully. Oh God. Anyway, I've got my phone, so let's get on to question number one. Okay. Question number one. I feel like this is a question that like every person has answered forever and a day, and it's like always on every video, and it's always the one that's like right there, especially when you get married. Like the moment that you get married, everyone begins asking you this question. Like even our friends say things like, oh, it's you next, and it's like, no, it's not. But I'm sure you know that the question is, do you and Ali ever want to become parents, or do you ever want to have babies, or do you want to have children? And this is something that like sometimes rubs me up the wrong way. Not for me, but there are people in my family that haven't been able to go and have their own children, and I completely understand how hurtful and harmful that can be for those people when people keep saying, oh, you're gonna have babies, and it's like they want that but they can't have that. So I've seen that firsthand and it's quite sad. So, and I do think it's quite a rude question, and I know that it's just because people are like really interested in people's lives and it's such a like love story and things like that, but at the same time it's also sometimes quite a sore subject for some people, quite a difficult subject, and other times it's just that people actually just don't want them. And I'm someone that for the last like few months, I physically can't get pregnant because I was on treatment for my dermatitis and I wasn't allowed, so I had to make sure that that was fine. But it's not like anything long term. But what I kind of haven't maybe touched on is that I don't really know whether I want children, which is such a weird thing for me to say out loud, but I'm just not a particularly maternal person. Like, you know those people, and your friends have babies and they always call you up to look after your babies. My friends don't do that. They don't call me. I am like the last person that they would call. I'm just not one of those people, but maybe that will change when it's like my own child, if I do ever have one. But yeah, I'm just not that way inclined yet. And obviously I'm 30, so my biological clock is apparently ticking. And I don't know, yeah, it's one of those questions that I'm kind of bored of seeing. Like it doesn't really interest me. And so it's weird that I find that so many other people are so interested in it, because I don't think I've ever asked anyone like, oh, you're gonna have babies next. Like, I've just never asked it. So yeah, hopefully that like explains that a little bit more. The second question is quite a simple one. It is, will we do a house tour? And the answer, in short, is no. We won't do a house tour, mainly because I just don't think it's necessary to like literally walk you through the footprint of my house. But second of all, I think that it's quite nice to take a room and show you the progression and the story and the inspiration behind that particular room, rather than like, this is the gym, this is the office, this is the blah blah, and it's like just kind of gets lost. So I hope to be able to film some really nice videos for you showcasing some of the rooms in our house, and hopefully that you'll find it interesting like that way. I know that Ali wants to do a few of the rooms like himself on his channel, which is fair enough. If he furnishes them, he can do that. But I've literally done this whole house. He's had to do one room. And I'll show him things and he'll be like, no, I don't like it. And I'm like, don't tell me that you don't like it. Tell me that you like something different and show me it and give me an idea of what it is that you do like. Don't just tell me that you don't like it. Next question. Do you now have a good relationship with your mum? mum in England. There were so many questions about my mum, and I feel like it's quite okay to talk about it now. I think over the years now, me and my mum get on a lot better, and that's actually really only been this year. It's probably been since the wedding. I think that the wedding was a bit of like, I don't know, it seemed like there was a bit of an epiphany, and I think that she changed her approach to people, and we get on much better now. Like, we went to IKEA shopping together yesterday and it was great. We've never done that, like never done that. And so it was quite good. It was good to have her there. It's good to do some stuff together, but we didn't really have that relationship in the past. Probably things, you know, I think when parents get divorced and, you know, there's always bad cop, good cop, and whether that's actually the case, you just don't know. And there's just a lot of things that happened that I'm not able to talk about, and it's just because that's her thing, you know, it's nothing to do with you guys. She's not on YouTube and she's just got Instagram, so she's not great with all of that stuff, but she does watch every video, so hi mum. But now I feel like our relationship is a lot better. I feel like she's got a lot better relationships with a lot of people, so it's nice to be able to like talk about her and do stuff with her and move on from it. But it was quite a long time that we didn't talk, like it was like years that we didn't talk. So yeah, hope that sheds some light on that. Next question. This is an interesting one. Have you come from a wealthy background, or would you consider yourself to be self-made? I thought that this question was quite good because I always get a lot of questions about my life and my parents, and it's sort of like I totally get why people are so interested, because it is so like disjointed, and I feel like that's quite an accurate thing. And so I wanted to talk about this, but not obviously like drag anyone into it or like make anyone say anything bad about anyone. I'm not gonna say anything bad about anyone because it's not a bad thing. But basically, like obviously my mum and dad, they were married once upon a time. But I feel like my mum and dad are like two very, 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 very different people who come from two very, 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 very different families. And although people have said that they were lovely and a very lovely couple back in the day, it didn't work. My mum comes from a very like working class family. Her parents are from Italy, and they moved here from Italy and brought their family up in Harrow. And my nonna was a Savile Row tailor, and my nonna worked in the canteen in Debenhams. I used to love going there as a kid and visiting her. This is probably going to be quite a long-winded story, so this will probably make up the bulk of this video. But they worked really hard to give their kids a good life. They had like my mum, my auntie, who you've met on this channel, who's bonkers, and my uncle, who was at my wedding as well. And he was like a huge part of our childhood. And basically they grew up in like, not like the best area in Harrow, I'm not gonna lie. Don't tell my nonna that, thankfully they haven't got internet, so he'll never see this, but he's very proud of Harrow. He loves Harrow. But my dad's life was very, very different. My dad went to boarding school. My grandpa owned a very, very successful machinery dealership, and they had factories and they had amazing houses. They had holiday homes in like Barbados. They had holiday homes for their staff, so they literally had like a flat that their staff members that worked at the factory could go and stay in. My grandpa drove Rolls Royces, Aston Martins. I think they had like a Bentley as well, and they lived a very insane lifestyle, like the stuff that I can't even fathom. And the stories that my grandma has told me, like her life is literally something that I believe should be made into a film. My grandpa would like travel the world for business, and whilst he was away he would just buy her these amazing diamond encrusted gifts. And if you've ever seen my necklace that's like the little diamond like plaque, that was an entire bracelet that my grandpa bought for my grandma, that when he died she had broken up and then made independence for like me, my sister, my stepmom, my sister-in-law, and we all got one, and they're obviously really, really special to us. Anyway, so that's like them. Two very, very different walks of life and two very, very different people. But that isn't necessarily like my dad's side of the family's life anymore, because the machinery industry that they worked in became very, very difficult with the birth of the internet, from what I can gather. I don't know too much about it. And so they had to like sell the factory, and they put that money into property. So they do really well. They've got a lovely life. That side of my family have a great life. I mean, my grandpa died when I was 18, but my grandma, you know, she's like the most glamorous person I know. And I know that she also watches my videos, and she's just bloody brilliant, she is. But she's got a lovely home, and I obviously went and lived with her when things were bad between my mum and my dad lived too far away. My dad lived in Northampton, but like the other side of Northampton, and I was working in Watford, so it was just too far for me to go and live with him. So I lived with my grandma. So I talk about things very like, it's almost like they're two different worlds. My mum works at a supermarket, just like in the beauty department of a supermarket. And we grew up in a end of terrace, 3-bedroom, new build home. I had a great childhood, great growing up life. I mean, it wasn't the most plain sailing, and obviously I had problems with my mum and stuff like that. But, you know, it was very much like, when we were at home with our mum, we didn't have money. We didn't have a lot of money. I'll never forget, once I had a friend over and she looked in my wardrobe and I had like 5 things in a double wardrobe. I had like 5 things hanging, and she was like, where was all your clothes? Like, where are they? And it never crossed my mind before, because that was just all the clothes I'd ever had. Like, I didn't care. I mean, I was young, so I wasn't like the height of fashion, but we didn't have a lot of money. And when I would go to stay at my dad's, like my dad would be the one that would take us shopping, and my dad would be the one that like bought us the things that came from having a disposable income. So that, I hope that kind of like explains that side of things. But as far as that goes, like my family, and I think my family would probably say the same as me, that I'm self-made in what I've done, because nobody gave me any handouts as such. The money that was used to buy this house was our money. And when we bought our first home, we literally put down like, I think it was like an 8% deposit at the time, because they allowed 5% deposits at that time. So it was, you know, I think we didn't even we put 10 grand as our deposit down. So Ali and I saved. The only sort of kind of like push that we had was that my grandma allowed me to live with her rent-free for a while, so that I could just save my money, basically. So that's the one helping hand that I'd say that I had in that instance. I hope I've explained that right, because there's a lot of information, and I've obviously only got a short amount of time to explain it to you in, but obviously that's a whole lifetime of information. But that's basically what it is. It's like, I just had 2 very polar opposite families. So I talk about things with my parents, and like my dad's side, yes, they had Cartier watches, and even my mum had one actually, but I think she pawned it when they got divorced. But so they did have those kinds of things, and they drove nice cars. But my mum's side, like my nonno had a Fiat Cinquecento, like the old Cinquecento, for years, and that was like his car. It was just very, very, very different, 2 very different worlds. And so I think that that's where it probably comes from. I hope that makes sense. Okay, next question. Did working together with Kerry change your friendship in any way? And what are the best and worst things? People are so interested in like Kerry and my relationship, working relationship. And honestly, I think we've smashed it out the park. It was scary in like the initial stages, because it was, you know, working with your friend, and I've heard horrible things about working with like friends. However, I actually think it's improved our friendship even more. It's so weird, because it's like, you'd think we'd be so bloody bored of each other by the end of the week, and then we'll be like, do you want to go for drinks on a Friday night, or do you want to go out on Saturday, or what are you doing Sunday, should we go gym? And it's like, it doesn't even cross our mind that we're spending more time together. And I think maybe that's it, is that we just don't think about it too much, but we also know like when the other needs space, and we also have a really great dynamic of like knowing our strengths and weaknesses. Like Kerry has far more strengths than I have, but I do the best that I can to help her where I can. And so she helps me in areas like, she's great at organisation, she's great at cooking, she's great at all of these things, and I'm great at other things, and so we just kind of like merge in that respect. But I genuinely believe that it's made our friendship better, and that's quite a nice thing to be able to say, because it's frightening. I mean, it's over a year on now, and yes, there are times where I'm like, bloody hell, like you are getting on my nerves today, and I'm sure she has the exact same feeling to me. But it's about how you deal with those emotions, and just knowing when you're like, I'm just gonna go upstairs, you just do your thing down here and I'll just leave you to it. It's kind of knowing and reading situations, and I think that that's, you know, I think we've nailed it, to be honest. Like, I don't mean to brag, and I'm sure that when Kerry is editing this, she'll be like, yeah. Or she'll be like, I annoy you. But it is, yeah, it's one of those things that you're just kind of like, it can go really badly. It can go all right, and it can go really well, and I think that ours has gone really well. So well done us. Oh, and you asked about the best things. The best things are that you work and you trust someone. Like, the best thing is that, yeah, you definitely like work with someone that you trust. Like, I literally trust her with everything, and she gets my long-term goals, and she's just on my team, and I think that that's so nice. And I'd say that the worst thing is that she brings brownies and biscuits and cookies. Like, they're all like healthy versions, like gluten-free, dairy-free, refined sugar-free and stuff, but I don't actually eat that much stuff, but because she brings it, I eat it. And so that's the worst thing, because I feel like my waistline maybe doesn't like Carrie working with me as much as me likes Carrie working with me. Next question. I liked this one. Why is your grammar so bad? Just curious, no offense. I love those questions. No offense, no hate. Why is my grammar so bad? And I've never really spoken about this in too much depth. I was bloody good at school up until probably year 8 or year 9. I loved school, I loved learning, and I think that maybe as I changed, my school didn't really understand the way in which I was changing, so they didn't know how to potentially like guide me in the right way. And so I think I went off the rails to a certain extent. But I also, and I'm not the only person to say this, I would say that Carrie believes that this to be true as well. I would probably say that I need to be tested for dyslexia. I've never been tested, because I do write very peculiarly, and I read very peculiarly, and words jumble up, and I write, like, I'll write my own name and I'll write like the A before I write the I, and I mean that probably doesn't describe my bad grammar, but it's something that it doesn't come easy to me. It's not like a natural thing. And believe me, I have read and read up about good grammar and there and there and all of this stuff, and where a comma goes and where a full stop goes. I've read because I want to be good at writing, and I want you to be able to read the things that I write in the way that I want them to be read. But at the same time, I can also only do my best in that. And for someone that started a blog just purely as a hobby, it wasn't a career when I started. It is now my career. I do still try to do my best with things, but I'm never going to be perfect. And I also kind of don't want to be perfect, because I don't want to discourage other people that are in the same situation as me, that maybe don't find those things that easy. I don't want to discourage them from becoming a blogger, because I don't think that that's the be all and end all of being a blogger or being a YouTuber or anything like that. I think that actually it's more important that you're a nice person, it's more important that you're an entertaining person, and it's also really important that you have a love of what you do. So maybe I just don't prioritize that as much as other people do, and maybe I should, I don't know, but that's basically the long and short of why my grammar's so crap. I mean, at least I'm honest. Next question. Why don't you go on press trips anymore? Do you feel this affects your brand? I literally went on a press trip. Florence. So Florence was a press trip. I went with Louise Aroma, which was last month. I actually go on a press trip in 1 day's time. I'm going to Milan. I'm then back for 2 days, and then I go on another press trip to Paris. So I actually do go on a lot of press trips. I'm very selective, and not in that I'm too good for the press trip life. I'm very selective because I feel I have a lot of responsibilities. Not the most responsibilities. I know that there's people that have like children and they go on press trips, so I don't have the most responsibilities, but I'm also not someone that wants to travel all over the world. There are so many people that do that, and they do that so well, and I love the content that they create. For me, sometimes find, and this is just me, this is just a personal feeling, but I sometimes feel like I can't relate to that kind of lifestyle because it's not a lifestyle that I lead. I don't travel to the Maldives and then travel to Australia and then travel to the US and then go to Positano like one after the other. I don't travel like that, and they'll be doing that when it's like winter time, and I'm like, I'm in my jumper and you're in a bikini. So it's something that me as a consumer, not as a creator, I don't necessarily relate to. I appreciate the beautiful content that's created, and I appreciate the hard work that is to be able to do that. Like the sheer organization to be able to do that. My hat is off, but it's not the life or the blogger that I want to be, and that's fine. Everyone's blogging goals and styles are different, and that's kind of the beauty of it. But I feel like I sometimes maybe get pigeonholed. People want me to be that because I maybe talk about higher end things, and it's normally higher end bloggers that do that. But you can tell that I am sort of like worrying about my words because I don't want to offend anyone. I've watched so many YouTube videos when people talk about things and I'm like, oh, that offends me. And so I don't want to offend anyone. That's a problem that I have. I never want to offend anyone. But yeah, it's just kind of, it's one of those things that it isn't who I want to be as a blogger. And that doesn't mean that that's the wrong way to be as a blogger. It's just for me personally, I really like being at home. First of all, let's just not get it twisted, I really like being at home. But I also really like structure and routine, and that is a thing that's very difficult to have in this job, and I struggle with that, and I probably only get about 3 days of routine a week if I'm lucky. I feel like I'm rambling on here, but basically I do go on press trips. It's usually the main things that I factor in are the brand that I'm going with, or the opportunity. Like, is it a brand that I really want to go away with and that I love? Is it for a product that I think is worth that trip? Timing, does it work? Do I have a lot of work on? Can I physically go on this trip? Or is it going to be more hassle than it's worth? Is it going to cause problems for me with all of the other things that I have going on? Also, I often look at who is going because I want to be around people that I know and that maybe like me. You don't want to go on a trip with people that don't like you. And I've turned down a lot of trips because I think that everyone doesn't like me. That's another thing about me. I think that everyone doesn't like me. That's probably me being a little bit over the top there. But yeah, so those are some of the things that I like factor in, and a little reason why I maybe don't travel as much as other people, or I maybe go on weirder press trips than other people. I don't know, maybe. It's a weird one, isn't it? A weird one. But there's also no part of this that says that you have to go on press trips either. Like, you can kind of, this is what you make it. The beauty of this is you blog the way that you want to blog, and don't let anyone else tell you how to do it. Do your thing, do it your way, and do it the best to your ability. And that's all that matters. Lydia for president. Oh gosh, 26 minutes of talking. And the last question, oh, this is an interesting one. Have you ever been sexually harassed by men or women in your industry? No, I haven't been sexually harassed in my industry. However, recently it came to light, and I don't want to say anything about who or what or where or why, but a few months ago, and I mean, you might be able to pinpoint when, because it was quite a difficult time. My emotions were all over the place, and I think that came across in my content. But well, it surfaced that a while ago I was with someone in a position of trust who has now been struck off, and I was one of the people that he indecently touched, indecently assaulted. And when it happened, I didn't know. I knew, like, you know these things. I was like, that didn't feel right. That shouldn't have happened. That was not something that I should have allowed to happen. But it was someone that I trusted. So it felt like I was being dramatic. And it was only when I obviously found out that he had been struck off, and I now know that I wasn't the only person, and this was something that he probably did quite often. And this came out in front of people that cared about me, and it was quite upsetting for them. It's quite upsetting for me because now I think about it a lot, and I was thinking about it a lot at that time and just processing, and I think I'm still processing it now because it is so new still, and I've kind of wanted to talk about it on my channel but not really known how and what the best way is and the most beneficial way. Like, it maybe isn't the most beneficial just come out with it. Does there need to be a message? Do I need to say more about it? I'm not great at knowing these things, so it's been a process. But when I saw this question, I thought maybe it's probably a good idea for me to talk about it and just kind of skim over the top of it and just be like, I've been in a situation, and I've wished that I'd used my voice at that time, and I wish that I trusted my gut a little bit more. And yeah. So yeah. What a high to end on. Yeah, so that's 29 minutes of me answering the questions that I haven't answered before and spilling a little bit of tea, which feels nice actually. This actually felt good. So I hope that it's maybe given you a little bit more of an opportunity to understand some things that maybe you haven't understood in the past. I know I haven't been able to be too in-depth about things, and I don't ever want to name people, and I don't want to divulge too much because people might not want their names mentioned on my channel. So anyway, that is that. I hope that you've made it to the end of this video. If you didn't, No hard feelings, it's fine, I forgive you. But I hope you liked it. I hope you liked getting to know me a little bit more, and I hope to see you in my next video. If you liked it, please do give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I would love to see you back here for more videos, and hopefully see you in the next one. Bye bye. What was that? What? These sign-offs are getting weirder and weirder. Bye.